Good morning, Year 1 students. Siamo pronti per riprendere anche con scienze in inglese. Come per geografia, anche per scienze avevamo concluso un argomento, Spontaneous Generation, e stavamo concludendo le interrogazioni. Quindi quando rientriamo, speriamo presto, chi non è stato interrogato si prepari perché concluderemo le interrogazioni. Nel frattempo andiamo avanti con un argomento che avevamo già iniziato a vedere insieme. Allora, l'argomento è questo. This picture shows bacteria. What are bacteria? Here is a definition for bacteria. Bacteria are single-celled microorganisms. Now, what does it mean? Single-celled means that they only have one cell. Single is one. And microorganism means that they are very small, so that we can see them only through or with a microscope. Some facts about bacteria. Bacteria are the first life forms that appeared on Earth. They actually appeared something like 3.5/4 billion years ago. And if we consider that billion in Italian is miliardo, they are very, very old. Where do they live? They live everywhere. We can find bacteria here, so in the soil, here, in some foods, and also here, in our body. We have actually 32 million bacteria in our body. It's a good number, and they are all very important for the correct functioning of our body. Some bacteria live in very extreme environment, like this one, the hot springs in Yellowstone National Park, where the water can reach 100 degrees Celsius. So they live in very hot places. But they can also survive here. Lake Vostok in Antarctica is a very cold place. So they can live also in very cold places. They are actually very strong. Are bacteria good or bad? When we think about bacteria, we think of something bad, of something that can be dangerous for our body. And actually some bacteria are really bad. But there are bacteria that are also good. So some are bad, but some are good. I'm now going to show you some pictures. And I want you to look at the picture and think if these pictures represent good bacteria or bad bacteria. Okay, let's consider the first picture. There are bacteria that live among the leaves on the ground, and these bacteria are good. We will study in the last chapter of our book the action of these bacteria. There are bacteria that live also in raw meat. Raw meat is meat that is not cooked. So raw in Italian means crudo. And sometimes in raw meat there are very bad bacteria. So these bacteria are bad. Yogurt is made of bacteria, and yogurt is good. So the bacteria that live in yogurt are good. If we look at the next picture, we see a little boy in bed. He's not feeling well. His skin is covered with little red spots. He probably met a bacterium. So the bacterium that he met is really bad. The last picture shows our intestine. In our intestine there are a lot of bacteria, and they are all extremely good and important for our body. So some bacteria are good and some bacteria are bad. Now, at page 58 of your book, there's more information about the pictures that we've just seen. So take the book, and we're going now to read together this information. Okay, let's look at the leaves. The bacteria that live in the soil are good because they help make humus, a fundamental ingredient of soil. Remember that soil is terreno. We will study the job of these good bacteria in the last chapter of our book. Some bacteria in food are very bad, like Salmonella, that we can find in raw meat. Salmonella causes infections that can be very dangerous. So when you eat raw meat, be careful. Make sure that it's good meat, okay? The bacteria that we have in yogurt are good. Other bacteria in food can be good, like the bacteria that we find in yogurt. Some bacteria are very bad because they can cause diseases, like the chicken pox. Disease is something that we get when we need to stay in bed. So a disease in Italian is malattia. And the chicken pox is varicella. Okay? And last but not least, our intestine. There are good bacteria in our intestines. They are called the gut flora. Gut is a synonym for intestine, so it's another name for intestine. Okay, what's a bacterium like? To understand a bacterium, we need to consider the fact that we have two types of cells. There are two types of cells. Here are the pictures of these cells. Let's look at the pictures and compare them. The picture on the left, if we look at it, it looks a bit simple. There are not many things inside. The picture on the right has a lot more elements inside. Do you know the names of these two cells? The first one is called a prokaryotic cell, and the second is called a eukaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cells are very simple and small. Well, in the picture they look the same, but actually prokaryotic cells are very, very small. Eukaryotic cells are bigger and also more complex. They have a lot more elements inside. And then the basic difference between these two cells is that prokaryotic cells don't have a nucleus, while eukaryotic cells have a nucleus. The nucleus in a eukaryotic cell is the big round thing that is in the middle of the cell. And this makes a great difference between the two types of cells. Where do we find these cells? Prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells are the basic building blocks of every living organism. Prokaryotic cells are the types of cells that we find in bacteria or animals and plants. They are very simple, remember, and bacteria are the first life forms that we can find on Earth. Prokaryotic cells are the type of cells that we find in bacteria. I batteri sono le prime forme di vita che abbiamo avuto e si parte sempre dal semplice. Prokaryotic cells are very simple. Bacteria are the first life forms that appeared on Earth, and so bacteria are made of prokaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells are more complex, and they are the types of cells that we find in animals and plants. Animals and plants are more complex organisms. Gli animali e le piante sono più complessi dei batteri e sono formati da cellule più complesse, le cellule eucariote. Which of these cells is a prokaryotic cell? Okay, simple and easy. The prokaryotic cell is the picture on the left. Okay. What shape are bacteria? If we look at this picture and analyze it, we can see that there are some blue balls, little blue balls. Then there are some longer green shapes, and then the red ones are kind of twisted. So anyway, I see three basic colors and three basic shapes. So we can say that there are three basic shapes. Bacteria come in three basic shapes. This one, and this one. The first look a bit like a rod. A rod is bastoncino in Italian. The second look like a spiral. And the third look like balls, little balls. So they are similar to spheres. They are spherical. Now let's give a name to these shapes. I'm going to show you the three names: Spirilla, Cocci, and Bacilli. Which is which? I'll give you a couple of seconds to guess the name of each shape. Okay, ready? Spiral-shaped bacteria are called Spirilla. Rod-shaped bacteria are called Bacilli, and spherical bacteria are called Cocci. Spirilla, bacilli, and cocci. There we go. Now, you will find all this information at pages 58 and 59 of your book. Remember to go to page 59 and write the correct name under this picture. Label the cells. So the cell on the left is a prokaryotic cell, and the cell on the right is a eukaryotic cell. Remember to go to page 59 and write the correct names. Now, let's sum up this lesson. In this unit, we have learned that bacteria are single-celled microorganisms. They are the oldest types of cells. They live everywhere. Some are good and some are bad. There are good bacteria in the soil, in our body, and in some foods. There are bad bacteria in some foods. They are prokaryotic cells, so they don't have a nucleus. They are small and simple if we compare them to eukaryotic cells. They can have 3 different shapes: rods, spirals, and spheres. Rod-shaped bacteria are called bacilli. Spiral-shaped bacteria are called spirilla. And spherical-shaped bacteria are called cocci. Okay, this is the end of the lesson. Part 1, bacteria. I'll see you soon with the second part of the lesson about bacteria. Bye-bye.